Welcome to the BBL Show with Jay Marriott and Drew Lasker. This is episode 3 with Mike Tuck. Drew, any prediction regrets from last week?
None at all, man. I think I had my shield up from the fans, and I think I handled it pretty well.
I think you've done well. I've had a look online. People have been kind. The clubs have been kind. And I think everyone's just kind of eager to get the season going. There's currently a cloud over the league at the moment. Sadly, the new government restrictions have come in. The BBL and Basketball England are going to be working together to send a submission for financial support. So that means the season is delayed. There is also a petition started online. I have shared this on my socials and urge everyone to please get behind it. What about you?
Please, guys, we need your signatures. We need your support. Share live on the BBL Show. You see I have my phone here. I'm actually going to go and sign it myself. All it's asking for is an email, your name. Let me just put my postcode in, and we are good to go. So, yeah, guys, get out and support this movement. 10,000 signatures sees the government take a look at it, and at 100,000 signatures, it actually gets debated at Parliament.
Yeah, I mean, this literally takes a couple of seconds to do. And guys, there is never a more paramount time than to be kind of voting and getting involved than now. The league needs you. Basketball England needs you. And the work, it's been highlighted several times online to me this week, the work that's going into the communities from both the clubs and the players is immense. People really genuinely don't see some of the work that's going in. We need this season to get started. It's so exciting. We cannot wait to see this get going with some of the ideas that we've got. So please vote now. Drew,
do it now. Do it right now.
Right now. Drew, what are your thoughts at the moment as a player?
Yeah, I mean, for us, like, I've been kind of surprised in our camp in particular, there hasn't been a lot of talk about the cloud and the uncertainty amongst the young guys and the new guys. There's been a lot of talk between Fletch and Darius and myself, just asking the questions, asking each other, when do we think? And but it's been business as usual. I think the only difficult thing is if this lingers, and you've been a player, you've been a coach, like, it's only so long you can just keep practicing. Those games are what get you going, get you something to look forward to, it gets you dialed in, get you focused. And if we're going to go a month and a half without a game, that's going to be rough.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, also, the one thing that you got to factor in as well is how patient are the agents going to be? If we're seeing other European leagues get going, if we're seeing other leagues around the world get going, how long is it going to be before we kind of get picked clean of some of that real talent that we want to see staying into the league? I know the London Lions, they've got January to look forward to. They're still in Europe. There's still a lot of excitement for them. But for some of those other guys, that might start to become a factor. So we'll just see. For me, I'm a glass half full type of guy. I'm remaining positive, and just that we'll find a way forward.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's some way, somehow, I don't know how, but it's going to work itself out.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before. I've got a good feeling about this. I think we're going to be able to make it through. Maybe we need to accept some of those restrictions, but if the government truly can get behind us, or a large sponsor or something that is going to enable us to kick on, I think, I can't tell you how excited I am for this season. The clubs, we did the predictions last week. It's just, we're just building all the time, building anticipation all the time. I cannot wait. I need to lighten the mood a little bit. So I want to get your thoughts on the Guilford Heat rap video that has somehow found its way onto the social media. I want to know how you feel, but also I truly hope that Corey and Matt are ready to bring and drop some bars on this podcast for us. Let us know what Drew really gets up to in his spare time. So how did it feel for that just to come out of nowhere after so long?
Oh, man, we did that like literally 10 years ago. I was blindsided by it yesterday. Our guy at BBL Fix dug it out somehow. I think Martell McLemore for Surrey, he is the culprit in leaking this thing. And so it's all over the place. And, I had to bury my head in the sand for a little bit yesterday. But it's all good. If it gets the people going, if it gives them some laughter during a tough time, it's all good. I mean, you never know. Like, the people might be ready for round 2. I mean, I got my pen and my pad. I'm ready, baby.
Well, I just want to know that, I'm hoping that there's royalties there. This could be one of those things that, was just put in the wrong era. So now that we've put it where it rightfully belongs, like you said, BBL Fix, very well done for that. That did bring me a lot of smiles when I saw that one. So
go get that on Apple Music, $9.99, baby. I need all of that.
Okay, so Mike Tuck of the Sheffield Sharks is joining us today, heading into his 12th season, veteran to veteran. Give me your thoughts on Mike and also the impact that he's had on this league.
Right. Mr. Mike Tuck, Mr. Sheffield Shark. We know that the game has kind of evolved into this positionless style of basketball. But for my youngins out there used to be a position out there called the power forward. And the role of the power forward was kind of be like the tough guy, that take the dirty shots, the elbows in the back, do a little bit of the dirty work, clean up the painted area, and also play the villain role to the fans. And that's Mike Tuck. Mike Tuck has played that role perfect and parlayed that into a 12-year career, a great career where he's won 4 championships. And on top of that, we've seen him evolve to having a big voice among the league, doing his thing on Sky Sports. So he's a great guy, and I'm excited to have him on today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't wait to kind of speak to him about, when he originally joined the Sharks, where did he think things were headed? I think for me, in terms of his impact on the league, has been massive. I think, he's a great leader, but like you said, he's a legend among the Sharks fans, but then also he's able to bring that kind of villain type mentality to the other teams, which I think is just testament to his talent. If people are putting their eyes on him in the games, then it just goes to show that he's doing something right. He's evolved, so I think when he came into the league, good athleticism, soft touch around the rim. And I think over that time, he's kind of evolved, brought himself further away from the basket. He's added the 3-point shot in there that's become much more consistent than it was early in his career. And he's brought trophies to the Sharks. And there's no doubts that, Coach Lyons and that franchise have a huge amount of faith and trust in him. And, I want to ask him about that today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mike Tuck.
Mike Tuck. Let's bring him in from the cold.
Let's go.
And get this episode going. Mike, thanks for joining us, brother.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm glad to be here. And I know we talked a little bit off air, but I'm just saying, what a great job you guys are doing. I'm really happy that this is happening. And keep up the good work, man. The BBL needs this. We said before, there's so much going on in the BBL that we need to get these storylines going. We need to talk about all these characters in this league. We need to get it out there. So I'm just happy that there's more content coming from the BBL and especially from you two guys.
Yeah, that's it. Appreciate that. Welcome to the show, Rumi. Just for context out there, every time Mike and I see each other, we always call each other Rumi because we were roommates at the 2018 Commonwealth Games. So we hold a special bond forever.
That's it, man.
They are close. They are close. I mean, I don't want to start rumors, but there was that kind of netball conversation that Drew brought up that I thought was a little inappropriate for Mrs. Lasker. Now Mike's in the mix. I don't want to get tongues wagging.
I don't want any part of that. I don't want to keep me out of that.
Don't get me fired from the BBL show.
Yeah,
that's it. Right. Let's kind of. I want to briefly touch on the work you've been doing with Sky Sports around the NBA. First of all, like, how have you found the NBA bubble? And for context, the NBA bubble is that the league took their teams to Disneyland so that they could kind of, or Disney World. Sorry, yeah, we have to be clear where that is.
Huge
Florida, the real deal. They spared no expense. What's been your thoughts around the NBA bubble? You've been watching it, been enjoying it?
Yeah, I mean, I've been loving it. Obviously, when it came into play, around July, people were hungry for a sport to watch, and especially guys like us. We want basketball. Like, everything was kind of taken away from us right away, without warning, including the NBA. Obviously we're big BBL guys, but love watching NBA basketball. So it was taken away so abruptly, and I thought the NBA did a great job of bringing it back, and they're really leading the way, I think, in many different categories for a pro sports league around the world right now. But, doing it the safe way, the amount of testing that they've gone through, and to make sure that everybody is safe within that bubble, and quarantining the guys. And not only that, but with the Black Lives Matter movement, just raising the profile of that, and using the players, letting them put their statements on the back of their shirts, having it on the floor. And then just, like, having everything sealed in that bubble. The biggest concern for me going into that was, like, what's the atmosphere going to be like? Like, is it just going to seem like it's like an open run and kind of boring and whatever? But then you got the all the video screen walls, you got fans logging in from their Zoom cameras. And it's just like, the vibe in there just seems awesome. The announcers are still calling it like it's an actual NBA game. They've got the fake crowd noise, but it all adds to it. It all kind of builds an atmosphere. And if you watch post-game interviews and stuff like that, the players are in there, like, they can feel that vibe, they can feel that hype. Obviously it's not the same, and there is a few aspects in terms of, we look at the playoffs now, there's no home court advantage, essentially. There's no travel. All those things, they're pretty much, they're walking from their hotel right to the game. It's like very, very easy and contained. But I think that adds to it. Everybody's on a level playing field. We're seeing like the best basketball right now. Like, who the better man is winning. That not all those outside tangible factors are gone.
Yeah.
And we're just seeing the best man wins. So for me, it's been absolutely incredible. And I'm happy that they decided to come back and not just end the year off with an asterisk or whatever. It's been exciting, and I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to take it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. So you're not one of these asterisk guys, are you?
No, I mean, for me, the winner is the winner. Like, these guys have battled. Like, if anything, like, it's added an extra factor. I know the travel and all that stuff is out of there, but psychologically and everything, the amount of games that they had to play leading up to this, it's been just as hard or harder than the regular playoffs. So we'll see who takes it. It's been super exciting. I'm loving seeing the Heater in there, like, just absolutely crazy. Like, Jimmy Butler is willing his way. And then, LeBron James, 35 years old, just out there looking like he's 21.
Just amazing. I mean, what I've really loved is that they've taken, a crazy world pandemic, and they've managed to turn it into somewhere where they can put themselves on a pedestal. And like you said, they can lead the way from not just sport, but looking at what they did with the Black Lives Matter was amazing. I was following the Matisse Thibault YouTube stuff as well, that inside the bubble. I mean, that was just fascinating because you did get to see. Yeah, I mean, he was so good, and you just saw the level of how serious they were taking all those kind of testing. It wasn't just little simple protocols. There was a lot that went into it. I think if you were a team or a player that didn't get to experience that bubble, I think you would be a little bit gutted, because it's just a once in a lifetime.
That was something I was going to bring up as well, is that as a player, imagine being in that bubble and like you're like some of those teams were in the same hotel, so like you're playing a team in a 7-game series and you're like you're meeting them in the elevator. Like imagine the tension, or you're just you're walking down the street and you see like guys on the other team, like the tension building up and all that, but also at the same time cool as hell. Like we saw after Jamal Murray dropping like 55 points, and then guys are showing him on social media like this guy just dropped 55 on me. Like,
well, especially like the battle like with Donovan as well. That was really cool. They were just like right after the games, they were kind of hanging 100%. Out. It was good. I mean, there's been a lot of battles, and I guess now we're at the penultimate part of the season where we're seeing the Lakers versus Miami. Do you have a favorite to win, or are you just kind of impartial and just enjoying the ride?
I mean, I try to stay impartial. I'm just a basketball fan at the end of the day, unless it's my Toronto Raptors, then I'm in there. Yep. But for me, just leading up to it and everything, and LeBron being healthy and looking the way he is, and then after watching that game one, originally I said Lakers in 6, but now I don't know. This could be a sweep.
That's tough to see, man.
I think we might get 1, maybe 2 out of Miami, but the Lakers, especially with AD and everybody else, like they're just clicking right now. So
well, I listened to a podcast the other day, so I'm doing a lot of running right now, so I'm listening to a lot of podcasts. But I was listening to one that was sort of kind of saying that people have underrated this Miami matchup against the Lakers, how much history there is behind it, because obviously LeBron leaving and how sour Pat Riley was about it, and how great Pat Riley's done to not take too much of a step back to try and push those guys back on. So that, I think there is a little something on the line. For me personally, again, I'm similar to you. I am just enjoying the game, but I do love something about a legacy. I do love it. And, to see LeBron go and get that piece with everything that's going on with Kobe Bryant as well. I like a fairy tale, man. I don't know. What do you think, Drew?
It's destined. And to see LeBron at 35 years old playing the way he plays. Crazy. Mike, do you think – they say he invests $3 million into his body every year. Do you think that you could play at his level if you were able to pump 3 or 4 mil into that body of yours?
I think we'd see a little bit more production on my body if I had that much money.
A couple more top of the key jumpers.
Yeah, exactly. But it just goes to show, like, he takes it serious, and he invests in himself, and with today, with the way that sports science is going, technology, all the recovery stuff, physios, even like sports psychology, all that stuff wrapped into one. The way it's just grown in the last, let's say, 20 years, from when me, Drew, or even Jay, when we were in high school till now. It's just by tenfold. So the access to things that he has and supplements and the rest of it, you can tell, like, that at the end of the half when Kuzma just threw the ball up like on a missed layup, and he just grabbed it and just did the
fooling around.
And I was just
like it was nothing.
But it was like it was his first year in the league. Like he was doing that his first year in the league. That might even look better than his first year in the league. So I was just like, man,
there's too much jealousy going on from my part. I mean, you're talking about high school and stuff, and I remember when I arrived over to the States, it was just kind of embarrassing. I looked like a noodle. I didn't even know what weights were or anything else like that. So people were so far ahead of me. It took me so long to kind of get anywhere near them. So yeah, definitely jealous on that front. Let's kind of change tact a little bit and come back to the BBL. We were talking before you've come on. At the current situation with the BBL, obviously the new government restrictions have kind of left a little bit of a cloud. Just give us a few thoughts on what you're thinking at the moment personally.
I mean, for me, we just want some clarity as basketball players, and as a guy who works in the front office, and I'm around everybody from our team, and then I'm around the guys every day in practice right now. We just want clarity. We just want to know what's the start date. When is this going to happen? What are the guidelines? How do we get there? Like, let's get the guidelines from the government, and what are the necessary steps to get there? Do we have to play in a bubble? are there going to be fans? Are there going to be no fans? Like what's the deal? Because we're seeing other sports around the world starting to take off. You know, you've seen the NBA bubble, you see the Premier League right now. I know guys that are playing pro basketball in Europe that are already playing now, and some of them already having they have fans in the seats. So things are moving around, and we're kind of just at a standstill. And, you know, our guys like Drew, I know your guys have probably been there a month or just over a month now. And like, so we played that one preseason game against Newcastle. We got another preseason game against Leicester coming up. But then after that, it's like, when's the first game? Like, we're, you know, preseason games are great.
That nervous anticipation, isn't it? It's picking up. So it's picking up.
That's my take on it, is this, like, every day is just, we're taking it day by day, but we just want some clarity. We want some direction on where things are heading, and so we know.
Yeah, and from the player standpoint, like you talk about, Mike, about that clarity. Once we get that clarity, whatever the protocol is, the players, we will do whatever is necessary. If we got to play in a bubble, we got to play behind closed doors, whatever it is, just so we can put that ball in the hoop, the players will be up for it.
Yeah, and I think it'll be great. I think the BBL will do a great job. I think even if it is behind closed doors, let's get on TV. Let's get a TV deal done, or let's get the pay-per-view thing going. Like, we've already done a test run with that, and we see it works, and people want to watch it. Like, people will buy into it. So there's a product here. We're all here. We're all ready. We're waiting. We're revving to go. We need to, like, get the steps, like, you know, step 1, step 2, step 3. Let's get the wheels in motion.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very kind of optimistic about the situation, and I think, you know, like you said, there's enough really, really intelligent owners in this league that have had to, you know, we spoke to Vince on episode 1, the amount of times he's had to pivot throughout his career. You know, you talk about Paul Blake, who's just really, I think he set the bar for owners coming into this league. And then you've got people like Russ Levinson as well, who is incredibly intelligent every time I've had a conversation. So you guys are going to find a way. What I will say about the bubble is, you know, we're just talking about Disney World. I don't think it'd be quite the same if we have the bubble in Butlins. But we could, you know, we could maybe find something to work on. So let's kind of focus on you now. Season 12 is upon you. How has the pandemic and this lockdown affected you in terms of your preparations, for better or for worse?
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about earlier, last season was just kind of stolen away from us. I mean, that's how I felt. It was just kind of, one day we're playing. We played our last game on Friday the 13th. You know, then on the Sunday, it was just gone, and it was just like I just went from normal life to, you know, what I've been doing for, you know, the last, you know, 12 years, 13 years, 14 years, to, like, boom, nothing. Like, so
yeah.
I know I was on your show over the summer, Jay, and we talked about, you know, I got into running, so just something, you know, a physical activity that's kind of take my mind off everything else, and something just to tire me out and keep me challenged. So downloaded one of the running apps, and I'm just, you know, started running, started to, you know, try and beat my time every day. And I that was a different challenge for me, but also kept me in great shape and kind of, you know, led me into this season. So
yeah,
heading into this season, you know, I'm excited. You know, it's year 12. Like, I'm absolutely blessed. I can't even believe I'm saying that. You know, like, when I first started playing pro basketball, I thought it was going to just be for a couple of years. And, you know, when I first came to Sheffield, I was like, okay, you know, maybe one or two here, and then I'll move on. And then, you know, here I am, you know, 10, 12 years later, still playing and, you know, kind of the part of the fabric down here in Sheffield. And
it seems like you're hungrier than ever, because I saw the Facebook videos. I seen the rip throughs. I seen the pump fakes. You were out there every day, and I was proud to see that, man, out there putting in that work, staying relevant.
He found his Tim Grover. That's what he found. Like, he found his Tim Grover, and he was just going to work. It was great.
Well, I mean, that's part of, you know, as you get older, you gotta focus more on you. Like, we're talking about LeBron James. Like, you know, you think he's taking days off? So I use that kind of as motivation, and I'm very lucky that I've got guys in the local Sheffield area that are very experienced, that have reached out to me and wanted to work with me. And I've, you know, over the years, I've worked with many different types of trainers and stuff. And I don't always put it on social media, but this summer I've, you know, popped a few up. So you got a little bit of insight into into my training, but it is what it is. You have to invest in yourself, whether that's money or time or, you know, the reps in the gym. You have to invest in yourself if you want to be successful.
So, you know, I've got both of you here, so I think it's a great conversation to start is about longevity. You know, can you both let me know, you know, what have been the changes over the years? You know, so when at one point did you go from, you know, trying to be, you know, maybe the best you can be to then thinking like, how long can I play in this game as well? You know, like you said, probably for both of you, you would have been more than happy with a couple of years in a league in Europe or, you know, an opportunity presenting itself. Now you've got this chance to really continue to play at a high level for as long as possible. And, you know, a little caveat to that as well is, has there been a point in any season where you started to feel like maybe that was the one and had to kind of fight through it? You know, so maybe a couple injuries on top of each other, a bit of a frustrating time in form maybe, and you were thinking maybe and had to fight through.
Yeah, I'll start off. I think it comes down to that Drake song, Know Yourself. Like you have to know yourself, and as an athlete, you know when your body is beginning to change. You know when you don't have that same motor anymore. And that's the struggle for most athletes that's been the quote unquote man or been on top of their game, is to swallow that pride and be humble enough, especially to the rookies, to the new guys, to say, no, here's the baton. It's you now. And now I'll do the dirty work. You know, I'll dive on the ball, on the ground for the loose balls and do some clapping and doing some cheering. And that's the biggest thing. And then also it comes down to what Mike talked about earlier. You have to be willing to invest in yourself financially, emotionally, whatever. Like you have to be willing to pump money into your body, paying the experts out there that do what they do to help you sustain that career. Because once you get to a certain point, it's not even necessarily about like the skill aspect anymore. It's about your body. Like at this point, like for me in particular, I spend more time focusing on my body than I do like actually on court reps. So those are the things. And then not only that, this is what a lot of young guys don't understand, is that to have a long career is not even really about how great you are. It's about all those other aspects. There's so many other aspects about character. You know, can a club trust you? You know, because especially here in the BBL, there's a lot of community outreach that all these clubs do. And can that club trust that you can go out there in community and represent that club well, and be enthusiastic about it? You know, so it's a lot of those things that kind of go into that pot of having such a long career.
Love it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think for a guy like me, I've always been a guy who's tried to add value. Like when any situation, any team I've been on, where can I add value? Where can I fit in to make myself better or us better? And you know, what's my spot on this team? Where do I fit in? So I think, you know, obviously when you're a younger player, you're a little bit more egocentric and you're thinking a lot about your stats and what are you doing? And especially as a young professional when you first come overseas, because a lot of that you have a lot of pressure on you to perform and to put up those stats, because you don't know where that next contract is going to come from. Mm-hmm. So but as I kind of grew into my role here and you know, Sheffield kept offering me back and I could see that this was going to be a home for me, I kind of settled in a little bit, and you know, as you grow older, you know, you're not jumping as high, or you're not getting as many rebounds or whatever the stat is. But I always tried to find the other ways where I could add value, whether that was being a leader, like being a better captain, being more vocal, setting the example, doing stuff off the court, doing the extra little things, you know, showing up at more school events, whatever it was. I was always trying to add a little bit more value, and then like Drew was talking about, pass it off to those younger guys, like lead the way, show them the example, lead them the way, but then talk to them every day, you know, tell the guys what they need to be doing, what they should be doing. If they're doing something wrong, correct it. You know, those are just little things that every kind of team needs. You know, you need those veterans kind of bumping around that will help steer the team in the right direction, because, you know, the coaches will do, you know, as much as they can, but you always need that second in command or those other guys to to kind of get you there. But in terms of like longevity, like Drew was talking about, you got to invest in yourself. And I think that's something that, you know, I remember when I hit 30 years old and everybody at the club started calling me old. And I was just,
you weren't ready for it?
Yeah, well, no, like it didn't bother me, but I was just kind of like, I'm averaging like a double right now. I'm like, and you guys are like, you guys think I'm on the decline. I was like, I'm not on the decline yet. You know what I mean? But then a couple of years later, I'm like, okay, I'm not as fast as I used to be. And that's when all the other off the court things, like where, you know, your diet, you start thinking a lot more about, you're not stopping for McDonald's on the way home from practice anymore. You know, you're really thinking about what you're putting into your body. You're going to the weight room every day and you know, lifting, but like not always lifting. Like maybe I'm just doing a recovery session. Maybe I'm doing some stretching. Maybe I'm doing foam roll today, or just a core session, or getting a yoga session in. Like there's all those different things. Like, okay, you don't have to go all out in the weight room every day. There's other little things. And then, you know, seeing the physio, keeping up on nagging injuries.
Yes.
What rehab exercises am I doing every day to make myself better? We work with a local chiropractor, Active Chiro in Sheffield. So, you know, we're going to see them, and the doctor there is, you know, big shout out to Elias, cracking my back every week. He's a former professional footballer, so he kind of knows what the athletes need, and he does a lot of the physio things. I bought a massage gun last season, life changing. That's definitely helped add some mileage onto my career. And then I think getting the right amount of sleep as well is underrated. You know, making sure that you're setting yourself up right for the next day. You're giving your body enough time to recover. But the biggest thing for longevity for me is mentality.
Yeah.
You know, the second you start calling yourself old, you're old. Like you're done. Like you know, age is a number. And you have to stay hungry. It's on you to just every day have that itch, have that hunger to get in there and kind of set goals for yourself and strive towards those goals every day. We've worked for the past 3 seasons with a sports psychologist, which I think, you know, it's a very new field, very, you know, kind of new age thing right now. But I found that very beneficial. And I think that any team out there, or especially individual athletes as well, should look into that. Setting those goals every day and staying hungry, I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I mean, I just enjoy hearing that from you guys, you know, especially, you know, you've got that conversation going about just having that motor, being able to listen to your body. I think, unfortunately, if you're judging our careers, you know, you two guys were like Ferraris and my motor was sadly a lawnmower. So, you know, I think there were some big differences. There was only so much I could do, only so much grass I could cut, whereas you guys are still going. So,
if we got Ferraris, I want to know what Fab Flournoy had.
Oh my goodness, man! Yeah,
oh my god.
But he's
727.
Was he 44 when he left the league?
Yep, 44 years old.
44, goodness me.
Ridiculous.
Big respect.
But I mean, I just have this image of him, and Drew, don't ruin this, you know, but I just have this image of him finishing games and just going and like staying at a monastery or something like that, you know, just stretching out, getting his mindset right. I mean, he was probably ahead of his time for where he genuinely took his thought process. And, you know, he was so bullish every summer that, no, I'm playing. You know, if I'm not playing, I'm not coaching. Obviously, when the Toronto Raptors come in for you, you probably go, okay, I don't mind coaching. But up until then, yeah, bye-bye. There's not a lot to think about. But, you know, yeah, what a great role model he was for the league. So
he's the reason why I'm still here. Shout out to Fab. Big shout.
Yeah, you said that a few times. You know, you shared a few stories with us about how, you know, he kind of started talking to you about the word longevity. You know, he started saying about, you know, you can stay here for a long time if you want and put the ball in your court. I want to talk to you a little bit about your relationship with Coach Lyons. You know, so from the outside, it looks like you both have just an awful lot of trust for each other, an awful lot of faith, you know, and that has been repaid with not just trophies, but you guys have always been there or thereabouts.
Yeah, I mean, man, I wouldn't be, Mike Tuck here, without Atiba's guidance and support, and not only him, but Sarah Bakovich, our GM, and Yuri Madison, our chairman. But me and Atiba, like, he's been here since day one for me, since I came up and had a tryout with the club, and he's always been a guy who's been in my corner. I've kind of grown up here and alongside him, like, we both kind of come a long way since we've been here. Like, he's a much different coach than he was, back in 2009. So he's a guy that I owe a great amount to. We have a really good relationship. I think we work really well with each other. We don't really get in each other's way, and we know what each other's strengths are, and I try and fill in the gaps for him where I can in practice and during the games, just to kind of keep everything sailing smoothly. And I just follow his lead, like, he's got a vision for how he wants things to pan out. And, I try and, like I said, add value and help out where I can, whether that's on the court or off the court.
I think I think you're a key piece for him. Because you need time to grow into it. He obviously came from being a player, took on the job, and there's no time scale for that. You've got to really throw yourself into it and try and find yourself. And I think having a piece like yourself that, the way you're describing it is almost like you can be a bridge sometimes for those gaps that you will have. There's no coach in any league, in any sport, that is perfect in every area. So being able to have those veterans around you, I think, is just, so key to that success.
Yeah, and I think, like, also, like, we had success right off the bat when I first came to the Sharks. We won back-to-back cups my first 2 years, so it was like, and I was a big part of that, and especially leading into those games and stuff. So that was, like, made it easier for them to trust me more, and that was the driving force between everything, like, especially for me, keep coming back. You get a taste of that silverware. Oof, like, it's
addicting, man.
Yeah,
you're ready
man.
to go.
It's like honestly, it's like a drug. Like, it's what we strive for every year. The goal is always silverware. Like, you got to get back to there. And, like, I still remember my first year raising up the cup, and I'm just like, okay, we got to get back to that moment. I need to get back to that moment. So that's something that me and him were always on the same page with. And then in terms of game plans and everything, he's an extremely defensive-minded coach, which I love, and he's a team guy. He's an ex-player. He knows what it's like to be a player. He's pretty easy to talk to when it comes to things like that. You're not going to get the runaround for him. He's pretty straight up. So
that's all you can ask.
Yeah,
exactly.
And a lot of our listeners out there probably that haven't been around the league or followed the league long enough when Atiba was a player, and if I can describe a current player that his game kind of was similar to, was kind of like a Draymond Green. He was kind of like a point forward, bringing the ball down the floor. He can body you up down low. Very versatile. So I know I'm showing my age right now, but I competed against Atiba for a couple of years as well.
Yeah, just big body.
He still plays in practice with us. If we're like down a guy sometimes,
he'll get in there.
He's got the shoes in the car, like, he's out there, and he gives guys work in practice still. I'm telling you.
I love that.
He might not be able to go. Like, he's got, a couple minutes in him, but
couple possessions.
Exactly. He's in there for the half court sets, right?
That's it.
Here we go, guys. 5-on-5, half court.
Exactly. Play shell for half court.
I absolutely love it. So that kind of leads us nicely into preseason. So we're in full effect for preseason. You've had one game to knock the rust off. I know you got another one tomorrow. But just talk to me about the team. What are you seeing so far? You've returned a lot of guys. There's a lot of continuity, and then obviously we've got Callum on board, which I think is just a great piece for you guys. And then obviously add in Kipper Nichols and Antoine Lillard as well to that mix. So just kind of talk to me about the team a little bit, but those three in particular, and what you're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, well, we can start right there with the new guys. Obviously, we got a healthy mix of returning guys, and then some really good new pieces to add in. I think Drew will say this, that any good team like Newcastle always has a strong core of returning guys. And then if you can just add a few pieces that add value to those guys, then you're hitting the floor running. So, but Kipper Nichols just graduated from Illinois, came from a really big program. He's kind of like he's like a stretch. He's like a tweener. He's like a 3-4.
Yeah.
Can do a little bit of everything. You can take the ball off the dribble. You can shoot the three and can play in the post a little bit. Can guard multiple positions. He's fitting in really nicely. Love his attitude. He's got a great attitude, great kid. Then we got Antoine Lillard, who's just an absolute dog. I think, he played in that game and he did well, but I think got into a little bit of foul trouble. So you guys didn't really see like the best of him yet. But he played in the NBL in Canada last year. So that's the first league in Canada, and got Rookie of the Year in that league, which that's a respectable league. Yeah, it's a very good league. And, just seeing him every day in practice, he's a guy that can kind of take over a game. He's a sharp shooter. Very physical, very strong, can get to the rack, and he's very sneakily athletic as well. A few of the dunks he's thrown out in practice, I was just like, where's that from? Yeah, exactly. And then we got, Cal Jones, my boy, our boy from Commonwealth Games, Drew.
Yes,
Big Cal.
Surprised Manchester let him go, right?
Yeah, it was a huge surprise. It was a huge blow.
Your win.
Yeah, well, yeah, great for us. But obviously, Danny and the new owner was over there at Manchester. We're heading in a different direction. As soon as I saw it on Instagram, I called Cal up and I was just like, I'm so sorry, man. Like, you don't deserve. I didn't think he deserved that after all the years that he put in, and I think he wanted to finish his career as a Giant.
Yeah.
But things happen, and my next call was to Atiba right after that, and then. The next couple of days, he was very interested. So I think it was just a good fit, easy decision for him. Obviously he's still working at the University of Manchester, so he splits his time, and he's been taking the train over, been picking him up, at the station, taking him to practice and stuff. So it's been really good to just not only hang out with him, but get him on board as a teammate, because, great guard for us, great ball handler, just steady as anything, and just knows the game. He's just a vet, like you add him to any team, he's going to add value.
Yeah, exactly what you just said. I was going to echo that. You've got a vet there, and heaven forbid something happens to McKnight, or something happens. You need somebody to steady the ship for 3 or 4 games or whatever. You're going to get exactly that. And no doubts at times he's going to kind of roll back the times and really put some performances in. I think, it's obviously early days for seeing, Kipper and Antoine playing out there. And I think from what I saw as a fan, it looked like they had that classic first game where it looked like, the game was on a treadmill for them. And, it's going to take some adjusting to those referees, right?
You said it, I didn't say it, all right?
I can say it. It's good.
It's different. It's different no matter where you went to school at. When you put on that professional uniform, it's different.
Exactly. And every league has a different officiating style, and the BBL has theirs, and they weren't ready. They weren't used to it.
Yeah.
And Lord, I warned them, but
yeah. That's what I mean. Like, as a vet, did you kind of, after the game, did you just have a bit of fun with them? Because I feel like that's what they need. Because, you've got this big expectation. It's just pre-season, but it's the first game. And I know so many players that came in when I was playing with them or coaching with them, and they threw a donut or they got into foul trouble, and it just looked like their whole world fell apart. And I remember just sitting there just being like, it's pre-season. You got to adjust to the game. We said before, I think episode 2, we said that it can be quite an American game in terms of how we kind of space and pace. So, I think maybe they might expect something different if they're doing their homework for Europe. And then, that's a nice thing for them. They can kind of settle in and go, okay, this is not too different.
Yeah, I mean, we in the locker room after it wasn't our best outing, and Drew can attest to that. But we just said, take it as a grain of salt, right? Like, it's preseason.
Yeah,
building blocks.
No one really cares. Like, it's like and Mackey had only gotten in the day before. those guys had only been there for a week. We were still, we didn't know how to play, together or anything like that. So,
yeah.
But we watched film later on in the week, and Atiba said it best. He's like, I can't play you guys if you're in foul trouble. Like, you're not going to do.
Just got to figure it out.
Exactly. So that's something that we've been working on all week. Is just like, there's been some tough calls coming in practice, and they just got to learn to shut up and just run down the floor. And that's the biggest thing is adjusting to your environment.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
practice is where that's done at for those rookies, because you better learn how to adapt, or you're going to be sitting right there next to Coach Atiba Lyons.
Exactly. Yep,
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. I think, like you said, they're not the rust off. You got a game tomorrow night as well, so that'll be exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing Leicester as well. I think that the way that they built this roster this season, I think they're going to try and take teams back down in those 60s and 70s again. It looks like they're going to try and be defensive, good athleticism, and they do look like they have some scoring pieces. But let's have a look at your achievements. With the club today, you've won 4 trophies. 2010 BBL Cup, 2011 BBL Cup, 2013 BBL Trophy, and then a personal highlight of yours because you took the MVP in that 2016 playoff final win. But the question is, which one of those is the best team, the best Sheffield Sharks team, in your opinion?
This is obviously the toughest question ever, because each one of those pieces of silverware is special for its own reason. Each team was special for its own reason. If I got to go through all of them, I look at the 2013 one versus Leicester, where
BJ Holmes.
Yeah, BJ Holmes. He just took over that game. I think he have like 5 threes or something like that.
Crazy.
He was just absolutely on fire and just kind of led the way for us there. And we didn't have the strongest start that season, so we were heavily underdogged in that game. Nobody had us to win that game. I think
great story.
The bookies, we were like 1-10 or something like that. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, so that was very special. And we had a great night up in Glasgow celebrating that one, I'll tell you that much. And then, I look at the back-to-back cup wins. My first year here, 2010 Cup at the Birmingham NIA. Just a special one, with Mike Cook, Tafari Toney, Ryan Patton, all those guys, Atiba, Todd Cawthorn, Adrian Anderson, like, some throwback names in there. All those guys, that was just special because that was my first one here. And playing with Mike Cook that season, like, I'll tell you what, he was a dog.
Bucket getter.
Co-MVP that season, I think, or
he averaged like 25 a game that year.
No one could guard him. This guy was, and it was, his skill and his play was one thing. It was his attitude. We talk about being mentally tough and that drive every day.
Yeah, that swag.
Like, in practice, if you were on his team and you weren't bringing it, and even if you weren't on his team and you weren't playing as hard as you could in practice, he was chucking the ball at your head. Like, that's how intense this guy was. Like, to the point where, like, some practices, some days you were just like, get me out of here,
Yeah.
But that was the level of intensity that he brought, and that was something that I kind of learned from him and took from him. Like, okay, if we want to win and get to this level every time, and to, get to a championship game, get to those big arenas, that's the type of level that you have to bring.
Yeah, Drew said it, like, he said right there with that's what practice is all about, so like, he's literally, he's got the irons in the fire, and he's sharpening that toolbox ready to get back out there.
Yeah, you have to practice how you play, and that's where it all begins, every day in practice. And then, carrying on from that, the next year, 2011, that was just like another sweet one. Really, really talented, a lot of talented teams in the league that year. That was when the Mersey Tigers were just absolutely stacked. Like, David Aliu, Drew Sullivan, Nate Rankin, Tafari Toney, Perry Lawson, like, all those boys. Like, it was just like insane. We got to the final against them, and Steve D'Agostino, man. D'Agostino went off.
Unbelievable.
He went bananas.
35 points that game. I think he had 8 threes or 9 threes or 10 threes or whatever it was.
He just made it look so easy, right?
Yeah,
for someone his size as well, it was ridiculous.
That was a fun team to play with too. Like Ryan Patton, Steve D'Agostino. We had Marcus Stout from Fordham. We had Paul Williams. Atiba was still playing.
Love Paul. Yeah,
that was a really, really fun year. But I gotta go to 2015-16. The BBL playoff final versus Leicester Riders down at the O2. Another one where we had finished 4th in the league that season. We had a great run in the second half of that season, and we just headed it into the playoffs with a lot of momentum. Ended up making it down there, and another one where we were the underdog, and then just I think I kind of showed up that day as a possessed man. I was like I'm not letting them take this from us. So that was my favorite one. For so many different reasons. Not only I had big, I think 20 points, 13 rebounds that game, with a big double. It was at the O2, so it's like you were playing in like an NBA style arena.
Easy.
Yeah. My mom had flown over from Canada. My mom's was born in England. We have a lot of family here, so there was about I think 12 of my family members from England. They all came down to the game. They were sitting with my mom. A couple of my best friends that live in London were there. It was just like really special.
Just a great moment.
Yeah, like when I look back, it's just be like, oh man, like I'll never forget that. No one can take that away. So
that was it.
That was a big moment for me.
Yeah, that was a dope game. Is it fair to say, when I think about all of your 4 championships, that you guys were the underdogs in every single one of them?
Hey,
like you guys literally
seems like it, right?
Like every single one. I watched every one, and I remember thinking, yeah, I don't know if these guys are going to win this game.
Maybe the only one is the 09-10 Cup. I think that we played Cheshire Jets, and we were
yes.
We were like number 1 in the league that year, like at that time. Like so I think we were more favored. But all the other ones, that 100%, especially 2013 trophy, like no one had us winning that one.
Crazy, but nice pick. I think, like you said, that being close to your heart, and also very sneaky maneuver, because you're not going to get any messages from former teammates that are going to knock you for, going for the emotional moment. So
That's
well
it.
played, sir.
And
well
also
played.
Another reason, I got one over on Tyler Bernardini there, so that felt good.
That's always nice.
Shout out to Bernardini.
That's always nice. Because you knew he was upset about it. You knew
for sure. That one hurt him 100%.
I love it. Okay,
awesome.
Drew.
Well, this takes us into our next segment, which is our fan mailbag segment. So our listeners out there, get yourself involved by using the hashtag the BBL Show and ask your questions, and you could be featured on an upcoming episode. And we start off, Mike, with the Duke of Hoops. He asks, what's your skincare routine like, and how do you stay so handsome?
This guy, man, this guy. I already replied on Twitter to the Duke, and I said maple syrup and Molson. That's a Canadian answer.
Beautiful.
Right,
yeah, it doesn't get any more Canadian than that, right?
That's it. I don't know. I got good genes, Duke. I guess that's it, Brian.
You take it and run with it.
Shout out to the Duke of Hoops, man. They've been doing a great job as well with all the content and the podcast and all the coverage of British basketball.
Oh, absolutely. The more the better. And we got another one here, Ethan, the BBL analyst. What do you feel is the key to getting fans who have been to one BBL game into the game further and invested in the league? I thought that was a great question.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing question. I think the biggest thing, if they've been to one game, you got to get a repeat visit. We got to get into another game. And I think a lot of that lies on making sure that the fan experience at our home games is the right at every venue, So I think most teams around the league have got it down. I think, most venues are good. I think, there's been a few venues that haven't been up to scratch, but I think that the league is heading in a direction where that we're going to have, every single venue is going to be like, wow.
Yeah.
And then I think, there's the other aspects. I think, social media engagement with these people is huge. And I think that's something that the league and each team has really stepped up in the last few years. And then we have to start creating those narratives and creating those superstars and those personalities on each team that, okay, oh yeah, I'm going tonight to go see Drew Lasker play, or I'm going to go see Mike Tuck play, or, that's makes it more of a personal experience and makes people want to get involved and invest in the team.
Yeah, I like that one.
Absolutely. That's what we're trying to create here on the show, my man. But
Absolutely.
Vicky, you're making me hungry. She asked, what is your favorite curry house in Sheffield?
Oh, shout out to Vicky. I know I saw this one on Twitter pop up. I think she said it was hers is Butler's Balti House, which is definitely one of my favorites. But my favorite one is there's a one right around the corner from my house. It does a 2-for-1 deal on Monday nights, and it's called Everest on Chesterfield Road. So if you're in Sheffield, go check out Everest. Big up Everest.
Sounds good.
The Papa Don's.
Very nice. That is making me hungry. Actually, we got Josh Coyne, and he said, which opposing crowd has he enjoyed playing in front of the most? I've enjoyed jeering him a fair amount in Leicester.
Yeah. I think there's two crowds that I get the most shtick from every time I go, and it's definitely Leicester, and Newcastle gives me a bit, but Worcester, I get it the worst at Worcester, and
really,
I don't know what it
That's
is.
That's surprising.
Those Worcester fans, but I'm like the pantomime villain when I walk in there. I swear, like I feel like I'm on I'm a wrestler, like I'm like they're just like throwing stuff at me, like. Get this guy out of here. But I kind of bought into it after one game, you know. I think I'd been just talking a little bit of trash to the crowd or something like that, and then you kind of buy into it. So I kind of took hold of that villain personality. So now I think few people down there have a play with it. But Leicester too, same thing. It was after the 2016 playoff final. We just beat Leicester, and then Barry Lamble had asked me to play in his testimonial. So I get down to play in the testimonial, and Barry's like, "Oh, I got a surprise for you." He's like, "I'm announcing you last on your team." I was like, "Oh, thanks for that, Barry." So they announced me. They announced me last. The boos start coming in, so I was just like, "All right, I'm just gonna run with it." And I was like, "Bring it, let's go,
yes."
And then ever since then, same thing. The kind of
brilliant,
the token villain.
How do you get booed at a testimonial?
That's a talent right there.
Oh man. But Owen Parker, he asked, what changes in British basketball have stood out to you over the course of your career, and also what did it mean for you to represent England in the Commonwealth Games?
Man, two more great questions. I think the biggest change has definitely been that the more teams are getting their act together and more teams are looking to move into their own venues or already have moved into their own venues. Obviously, Leicester and Newcastle leading the front on that. Sheffield is not far behind now. I know Bristol is leading the way, and I think that's such a huge thing for the league, is that we need these teams to get more ownership so that the money stays home and so that they can grow their own development systems and their own teams bigger. Another thing has definitely been social media presence. I mean, since I've been here 12 years, obviously social media has just skyrocketed. And I think the league has done a pretty good job of keeping up with that. But obviously there's always more that can be done there. And then another thing maybe is that more British players are choosing to stay home. I think that we're seeing that in the last couple of years. You look down at London, like guys like Justin Robinson and NBA, and then look over at Plymouth this year. They signed Lawrence and Hamilton, and those are pretty big name players that typically you would see playing overseas somewhere. So it's nice to see that those guys are choosing England, choosing the UK, choosing to stay home.
Love it.
Absolutely.
We got David Bell, and I kind of noted his Twitter was great. Billy Bad Knees. I thought like that could be one for my Twitter handle.
Big
but
shout out to Dave.
for someone who admits he isn't a fan of preseason, how does he find the drive to prepare so thoroughly each year? And also, what is his all-time Shark starting five?
Oh, come on, Dave. I can't do that.
Hot seat.
Big shout out to Dave. Dave does a lot of things for the club. He helps write articles for the club and a little bit of social media stuff. So big shout out to Dave.
Love it.
I mean, I don't hate preseason. I don't love preseason though. And I think, as you get older, you don't love it as much. But it's like we talked about earlier, like setting a goal for yourself each year. And that silverware is always the biggest drive for me. And then also realizing that that the window is slowly closing. Like, I'm not going to be able to play basketball forever. So I got to take advantage of these moments while I can, like there's going to be a day where I'm not, waking up and going to the gym to practice or going down to a game to play in front of a few thousand people. And I'm not looking forward to that day, but that day is going to come eventually. So I'm here now. I have this opportunity and I have to make the most of it. So I think that really helps light a fire under my stomach. In terms of all-time Sharks 5, like I hate doing these because it's so hard to judge players over the years that you've played with and like guys in their prime compared to this and that. But like, guys that stand out in my mind, I can't give you 5. I'm gonna rattle off a bunch here. But
yeah, just give us a couple names.
Like
meet in the middle.
Definitely BJ Holmes. Like that guy was just like a pleasure to play with, man, and just like a personality like off the court. Definitely one of my brothers, man. D'Agostino, Ryan Patton, Gerald Brooks, big one. Chris Alexander, Mike Cook was tough, man. Todd Cawthorn. When I first got here, I played with the legendary Todd Cawthorn. Yeah. So he's the guy I really looked up to.
In his prime. Woo!
Yeah. I mean, talk about, late 90s
so
and early 2000s. And then watching him, the longevity that he had, he was always a guy that really inspired me. TJ Robinson, another guy, that we won, super athletic, just crazy bounce. Paul Williams, Dirk Williams. I mean, the list could go on. I could go on forever, man. I can't just name just 5. But those are a few. And then even guys now, like, like Marsden, Mackey, Nick Lewis, Zach Hachette, Colin Singh, like guys that, they're not just teammates, but
unsung heroes,
they're family,
well,
man.
Yeah.
They're family, So all those guys.
Yeah, shout out to those guys. And speaking of that window closing, Dean the Ginger Shack asks, would you ever go into coaching?
Shout out to Ginger Shack, Dino.
Another good Twitter handle.
Yeah, I mean, if the opportunity arose and it was the right situation, I would definitely consider it. I've been working in the front office of the Sharks now, just trying to build up my resume for the post playing and doing a lot of marketing and business development kind of side of things. So I'm enjoying that. But coaching, I would never put it out the window.
I kind of realizing now why he was so keen to mention Fab earlier. I think maybe he might be doing some buttering up. I'm not sure, but
yeah. It'd be easy transition to go back to Toronto.
That would be perfect.
Yeah, let me think about that for a second. I'm actually in Toronto right now. Sam Jarvis, so a Plymouth faithful, said, can Mike and Callum, she threw Callum in there as well, come and play for the Raiders? She's like, hashtag wishful thinking.
Oh, man. Yeah, I remember the Raiders, actually, I got offered by them a couple of times in my career early on. And I was always like, oh, it could be nice to go down there. I know it's a beautiful place. I love like Devon and Cornwall, that whole area. I've been down there a bunch. The one thing though is those bus journeys, man, must be killer. Like you guys are out there. That's the one thing about Sheffield. We're pretty central, so it's not too bad in every direction. But Plymouth, man, whew.
Yeah,
super far.
I can't really save that right there.
And to wrap up our fan mailbag, Matt asked, and you kind of touched on this earlier when you first signed, which feels like the early 1900s. Did you see yourself staying this long, either in Sheffield or the BBL?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when I first came here, I was used to kind of bouncing around and one and done. So I did not expect myself staying here. And then we won that silverware, right away. They offered me a contract to come back next season. I was like, you know what? I had a great time there and some great people work at the club, really easy decisions for me to come back. And then we won a cup again. And I was just like, okay, I'm hooked. I got to stay here and make a name for myself. So I can't believe how quickly the time's gone. And like I said, I thought I was going to play pro basketball for, 3, 4, or 5 years, something like that. And then here I am, I think it's like 13, 14 years later. So it's exciting, man. It's cool. It's been a great journey. And the Sharks have been such a big part of that. And I have, so much time and energy to give back to them. Like, I couldn't thank them enough.
Love it.
Awesome.
Well, let's kind of move into what I've been looking forward to. This whole talk is we are going to go into our BBL all-time starting five, and I'm going to present the rules first of all. He's getting this. You wrote it on an envelope.
I wrote it on an envelope.
We need a budget right now. We've all sort of pre-done our boards, but we're going to work from Drew's rookie season to present day. So those are the players that we're choosing. So if you see any, sort of throwbacks missing and stuff like that, that will be your reason. We're going to get one pick each, and we're going to keep changing those picks. So not everybody's going to have that first round pick the whole way through. And once a player is off the board, they are off the board for everybody. Listeners, you are going to be choosing the best team. So who put the best team together? Who has the MVP on that team? So obviously that might not necessarily mean the winning team. It might just be the best player. And then you are going to choose the best sixth man, which allows us just to kind of carry on a little bit of those players. And then what we will finish with is some honorable mentions, because this was tough. Okay, Mike, you're the guest. We are going to give you the number one pick in the draft.
Ooh,
you can pick any position. So we don't have to start in a particular position. Any position you want to take off the board. First round, you're on the clock.
Okay. This is crazy. This was so hard for me to do, and I told you I hate doing this. All right, but I'm going to go with a throwback pick, and I got to give it up. He's an Eagle. Charles Smith, baby.
Oh!
Chuck,
let me go
take
ahead
him off your list.
Let me just get my pen out real quick.
Your list. I know he was on both your lists.
Are you putting him at the 4 or the 3?
3.
You're putting him at the 3. Okay,
yeah,
that's where I had him.
He's a 3. He's a 3 in my mind. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, prime time. He's a 3.
Oh man, in his prime. Whew.
Yeah. So, Drew.
Oh, that leaves me. Well, I guess I got to start being strategic. So I got to go with, because I got a couple of dark horses. So I think I'll save those. So everyone knows that the team is ran by the point guard position. And so I'm going to go with the back-to-back MVP, the 3-time on-the-trot BBL Cup MVP, Newcastle Eagle, my teammate, Ramon Fletcher at the point.
Nice pick. Very nice pick.
I respect that pick.
Yeah, I concur.
That is not biased. That is resume for sure.
Oh man, he's definitely on my list, 100%.
So, okay, so I've got the next 2 picks. So we'll snake the picks, so that then we have a different person choosing first for the next round. So in the first round, I will take him off the board at the 3 spot. I will take Andrew Sullivan. I think he is a serial winner. I like to get a few Brits in my pick too, if I can. So I'm taking Andrew Sullivan off the board. And for my second pick, I am going to go to the center position, and I am going to take your former teammate, Mike. I'm going to take Paul Williams off.
Very good pick. He was another guy who was on my list, man. I'll tell you what, one of my favorite teammates to play with, and one of the strongest guys I've ever played with. Big, strong dude with like a soft touch. He did not miss around the rim, that guy.
No. And I mean, obviously, like I can only really think of 3 truly legit bigs that have come into the league. And when they've performed, those teams have won something. So you got Geddes, you got Paul Williams. And I think I have to go right back and look at like a Lauren Meyer, maybe when he came in the league in Cheshire. I think once you get somebody of that caliber, you're going to do well. Back to you, Mike.
Back to me. Okay, perfect.
Back to you. Yep.
Second pick here. I've talked about him earlier on the show. Just the guy, I respect and was on that first team with me, and we won that cup together. And he got the league MVP that season, and that's Mike Cook. Shout out to my boy Mike Cook.
Yeah.
He is a killer back in the, and I think honestly, like maybe some fans might remember that kind of injury ravaged return that I don't think we truly got to see the best of him, but he was a killer.
He had a rough year that year on his return. You know, I think he had already had 2 knee surgeries by that point, and his father passed away mid-season, so it was just like such a rough return for him. But big shout out to Mike, man. Like he was unguardable, absolutely unguardable.
Unbelievable.
He was tough, man. So does that leave me with 2 picks?
You got 2 picks, Drew. Yep.
Oh, nice. Well, I'm
Take them off the board.
I'm going to go with probably a lot of people who haven't been following along the BBL a long time. They might not have heard of this name at the power 4 position. I'm going to go with one of the very few people in the league that's led the league in scoring and rebounding in the same season, and that's Everton Tiger Andre Smith at the 4.
Oh, I forgot about Andre
tough
Smith.
play. He left the BBL and had a great career in Turkey and played in the top league in Russia. He went off and had a very great career for himself. So that's Andre Smith at the 4. And to shore up my backcourt, I'm going to go with the Houstonian, former Eagle, former Cheshire Jet. He's won the BBL MVP in Newcastle, in Cheshire.
I know who this is.
And that is Trey Moe. Trey Moore at the 2
Let me
guard
get
position.
my pen out. Dang.
Shifty lefty, man. That guy, his game.
What's up, man? What's up,
Yeah,
man? I teach you that in the summer, man. That's what he always say.
One of the biggest trash talkers ever.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely love it. Okay, so I've got 1 pick. So you stole Trey. That one hurt. So I think I'm going to keep this Newcastle Eagles trend, and I'm going to take Joe Chapman.
Captain Joe.
I respect that.
He was just right in my era. Really enjoyed what he had, especially playing with him and Charles Smith. You just remember that they could break hearts, you know, when they kind of got going. I like the fact that he could go down the post. He could play down there. He could step outside. He could guard multiple positions. So I'm locking in Joe Chapman.
Yes.
Mike, you got 2 picks.
And side note, he just won the TBT championship. So we're looking for sponsors, right? Joe. As a coach. So Joe, we're looking for sponsors here on the BBL show. So you got a couple of coins. Come holler at your boy.
Big shout out to Joe, man. He was a great player. All right, 2 picks here. I got to fill some big man slots here. So I'm going to go with a legendary player right here, north of the border, my former prep school teammate, Kieran Achara. Big shout out to Kieran.
Very nice pick. Yeah.
Me and Kieran, not a lot of people know that. Me and Kieran went to Maine Central Institute together.
That's right.
We did a year of prep school together. So I've known him since I was like 18, 19. So big shout out to Kieran.
Do you think, just quick side note, do you think that Glasgow really missed a window right there? You know, if you look at having Achara at that particular time, Fraser, Gareth Murray, do you think maybe they missed a little window right there where they could have gone on a good run?
I think they had things right there. Like they were tough to. Everything really coming together for them in the last 2 seasons. You know, this past season, like they were extremely tough to beat. They were bringing in some really good imports and the coaching and everything. So. I mean, Kieran decided to hang it up, and who knows what the direction their club's going to go in now, especially with the current climate and everything. But that was, there was probably a piece of silverware on the table for them there.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at least they got that 80% trophy sitting there in the cabinet, so I think they're doing okay.
Yeah, when I held back on that when Mike said like on the Sunday the season was gone, and I almost said, and that's when they became champions. But
sorry,
I stayed
Gareth.
away from it.
Gareth, you're my boy. I'm sorry. I had to poke at you.
Yeah, nothing to do with Gareth. He's
nothing personal.
Yeah, he's my boy.
Nothing personal.
That's it. Okay, so my second pick, My dad always told me, you got to bet on yourself, baby. I'm putting Mike Tuck in my. Put him in there.
I was wondering.
Why not? Why not?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Got to bet on yourself,
respect
baby.
it. I respect it.
I definitely respect it. That's a curveball right there.
Why not?
Hey, nice.
Throw him in there.
You know,
we're talking prime Mike Tuck here. We're not talking
I respect it. Yes.
Hey.
Drew, we haven't got a lot to work with right now. He stole the show.
I already got my 2-guard position.
I'm surprised I lasted this long.
I was just about to.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I love it.
Who's
You're up, Drew.
It's on me, so I'm left with a small forward and a center position. I'm gonna go with the small forward position, and this guy is. We got to roll the clocks back. He was part of the Worcester Wolves back then, where they used to wear the wolf head running around. I don't know if you guys remember that time, but this guy, he led the league in scoring. I think maybe 2 years in a row. He won the slam dunk contest. His name is Anthony Paez. That guy could ball. He was a baller. I loved his game.
Serious hops.
Had hops. I loved this game. Super smooth. I love competing against that guy. So I'm penciling him in. The dark horse at my small forward position.
There you go. Lock in your center position.
Oh, man, this is tough, man. I got 2 names, and this is a tough one. I can roll back the clock with my guy that I came in the league with, Big Carlton Aaron. 6'10", 300 and something pound, war size 22 shoe, or I can go with the new name on the horizon who just averaged 24 points and 16 rebounds a game and helped Newcastle lift the trophy. And with that, I'm going to have to go with that. I'm going to have to go with CJ Geddes at the 5.
Nice pick.
Definitely.
Yes. I thought you may have forgotten about Carlton.
Oh, no.
I was wrestling with that. With that because I thought, you know what, when he's motivated – I mean, he basically, I remember watching that final. I think I was playing pro in Ireland at the time, and I was watching that final from over there, and he just single-handedly just said, yes, please. And he did have a little reputation for maybe being a touch lazy, especially with his conditioning. But that particular day, he said,
If he had the motor, oh, man.
Absolutely. Okay.
And just to touch on CJ Geddes there, this year when he came back for you guys, man, the amount of work that he put in between Cheshire and you guys, he must have dropped at least, 50 pounds or whatever it was.
Yeah,
but,
so impressive, yeah.
Man, he was tough at Cheshire, but having to guard him on a few possessions last year was just this kid is, moves a lot better, stronger, and he's just, a smart player and got a great touch around the basket. So
yeah. I think he was able to kind of shed a bit of a role that he had in college, So I think that they wanted him at that size, they wanted that kind of intimidation, and he maybe wasn't playing quite as much. And I think that really Cheshire gave him a lot of confidence, and then I think he's just capitalizing on the fact that he realizes he has something special in his size and his ability. So, I think such a dramatic change for him for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll lock in my last 2 picks. So I've got the point guard to pick, which was a big struggle for me, and the power forward position. I'm going to lock in at this 4 spot. I'm going to go and put Leonard Stewart in there.
Nice.
Former Shark.
I think we just kind of maybe forget about him a little bit. It was tough because Sterling Davis came up a little bit as well, prime time. Sterling Davis was just a beast, but I really enjoyed Leonard Stewart, his skill set to add to that and his intelligence that he had. So I'm locking him in at the 4 spot. And then at point guard, Fletcher's off the table. I think I'm going to go a little bit new school, and I'm going to take Justin Robinson, I think, because
solid.
He comes into that London franchise and has transformed them. Obviously now there's finances behind it, but before the finances and with some noisy neighbours for 0.5 seconds. I think he just handled himself great. And I like him. I think he can defend both ends.
Great pick.
Great pick, man. He was definitely on my list. I mean, everything he does, not only like the scoring and everything, but the way he just kind of holds that team together.
Yep.
And like, there's no funny business with him. He doesn't talk trash. You know, he just like, he puts his head down and works, and he leads by example. And that's what I super respect about that guy.
Just gets it done.
Yeah, love it. Have we locked in all our fives? You got it, Mike, right?
I got one more pick.
You got one pick. Good. Here we go.
At the point guard position, I mean, you guys took Fletcher and Justin Robinson, both those guys on my list. I think there's so many good point guards to pick from.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back. The guy I already talked about earlier today, trusty teammate who was there with me when we lifted up the playoff final trophy. That's Gerald Brooks.
Oh, that was a bucket getter.
He was a bucket, and he could create for anybody. And, I know Fletcher took the MVP that year, but he was definitely in the conversation.
In the running, for sure.
Yeah, everybody was talking about those two guys. So I'm going with Gerald. Keep it Sharks themed. Shout out to my boy Gerald.
I like it. Okay, we'll let you lock in your sixth man, so you get to take somebody with you.
Okay. Ooh, sixth man. Okay. Let me look here. Any position.
Any position, yeah.
Any position. Okay, let's go with I'm going to go BJ Holmes. Chuck him on there just for the banter.
Get him in.
And somebody's got to pass all these guys to shoot the shots.
Absolutely. I like it.
Holmes,
BJ Holmes,
point guard, keep it Sharks themes, man. BJ, I miss him as a teammate. Great guy, on and off the court.
Yeah, great
Super
character
cool.
in the league. Yeah,
super cool.
Drew, lock it in.
I'm battling with this one. I have so many great names left on the board, but I think I'm gonna round up my team with this guy that a lot of people probably forgot about. Had it not been a tragic accident, he would have gone on to have a great career. And that's the Guilford Heat point guard, Brian Dukes. In 2007, he obviously got into that injury that ended his career abruptly right when Guilford was just starting the Europe Cup campaign. I think at the time it was called the ULEB Cup.
Yeah.
And he's one of the few guys that I've seen give Newcastle 40. I mean, he had a sick floater. He was like a 90% free throw shooter. And he just played. He kind of reminded me like of the Jason Williams from, you remember White Chocolate? Like, man, that guy could play, man. So I'm going to lock Brian Dukes in. Shout out to my guy.
That's a really, really nice pick.
Here's a crazy side note. I did an official visit to Canisius University. Brian Dukes was my host.
Wow.
Such a small world.
That
basketball community, right?
How about that for small worlds?
Wow.
Yeah. And he was a beast at Canisius. I remember him back then. So big shout out to Brian.
Yeah, great pick. I like that pick a lot. Okay, my sixth man, I think he's seriously underrated. I brought him into the league, and I believe he can play multiple positions, and that's Pierre Hampton. I think he just had massive upside. He could have slipped down to play the 2. At Leicester, he moved up and bulked up and played at the 4. He'll do what you need him to do. He can really defend. I just like him a lot. Stayed in touch with him. Really happy for him and his little family right now as well. So I'm getting him on my team, Pierre Hampton.
Solid pick, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
great.
From the way he developed from when he was at Plymouth to when he got to Leicester, he really worked on his game. And I'll tell you what, like at the 4 spot, I had to match up against him a bunch. He used to give me problems, man. Like he was such a tough guy to defend, because he could take you out on the 3, knock down a shot, but he could also take you off the dribble. And then he just had the awareness and stuff. He could slow it down and back you down, use his size and get to where he wanted. So very smart player, very physical player. Great pick.
I like him a lot. So that's that's our picks right there. We've locked them in. Drew will obviously take our picks later on and turn them into a beautiful graphic that we can, tease the listeners with, and they can choose. Remember, best team, MVP, who you think is the best player in those picks, and the best sixth man. So the sixth man award. Let's kind of get in just quickly honorable mentions, because there's more than enough names going on. I'll throw out a couple of mine. Andrew Thompson, obviously, we caught up with him in episode 2, 20 trophies under his belt. I had Mike Martin in there. Shout out to Mike right now. Battling cancer. One of my favorite British players, and I thought he was just an unbelievable competitor. I threw Scott Martin in there. I threw Tyler Bernardini in there. I threw an EJ Harrison in there for you guys. Ryan Patton was there.
Yes, sir.
Demarius Bolds. I don't know if you remember him. Just an absolute bucket getter. And I also had a lot of love for Ralph Bucci. I don't know if you
took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, Division 1 legend, and he was, you're talking about villains for Plymouth. He was a villain that I loved personally. I thought he was amazing, and then just showed later on in years, just comes into the BBL and doesn't really miss a beat. Classy individual.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, you touched on a bunch of the ones that I was already going to say, but I mean, Steve D'Agostino, another guy, Nate Rankin, another legendary Shark who played with me for 1 year at the end of his career. Zaire Taylor, another guy when he went on that run with Worcester.
Yeah.
Brandon Peele, another guy who just left the league, who he did some damage while he was here. Got to shout out to my man Defoe. Yeah. That guy keeps going. He's got to be one of the most decorated players in BBL history.
Facts.
Love his game. Willie Clayton was on my list. That guy.
Ooh. I forgot about Willie Clayton.
One and done Willie Clayton. He averaged like 15 or 16 rebounds a game. Like, who does that? Like, how do you even do that?
Yeah.
Corey Dixon.
Yeah.
He was a nice little shout out.
Really talented. Yeah.
And then a big throwback one was James Hamilton for me from the Cheshire Jets.
Yeah. Great pick. Yeah.
Very nice.
And the last few, just a few names, is one of my favorite point guards, Rob Yanders from Sheffield, and obviously finished his career out in Glasgow. And last but not least, we said his name a couple times on here, but Fab Flournoy, a 20-year plus career, even in his later twilight years of his career in his 40s, he was still locking down some of the best players on the opposition. And, so got to give a shout out to Fab, definitely.
Yeah, 100% concur. I think it's, he's so easily overlooked, isn't it? Because, we mostly know him as a coach, but we forget that when he first came in the league, he was a genuine star in the BBL, just all energy, all heart. And I think that he kind of carried that over into his coaching and turned that into, what can only be said as a formidable run that we probably will never see again in this league. So, yeah, great picks. I mean, I'm sure we could go on and on. There'll be names that I'm sure will come on Twitter and be like, unbelievable, we can't believe we didn't mention that guy.
I'm waiting for that.
So yeah, it's just tough, but I think that there's going to be some unbelievably competitive picks that these listeners are going to work through. Mike, thanks for joining us, buddy. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. And like I said at the beginning of the show, you guys are doing a great job, man. Keep going. This is great. We need this. We need this out. We need the narrative. Push the BBL, man. Let's get this thing up to where it needs to be.
That's right. Sir. Hey, and until the season gets going, be safe. And I'm sure we will catch up with you a little later on in the season.
I hope so.
Speak to you
soon.
soon.
See you down the BBL road, my guy.
That's it, baby.
That's right. Speak to you soon.
Yep.
Peace out, boy.
Guys, thanks for listening. Remember, we need your interaction on all BBL socials using the hashtag the BBL Show. Please pick the best team from your all-time greats today. You know it's me. Clean sweep across the board, please. But get involved. Share some of those names that we probably forgot, and we will spend a lifetime apologizing to those people. I said off air that completely forgot to even add Drew's name into the mix, who was on my list to be talked about and chosen, for sure a BBL legend in my eyes. Drew?
Guys, thank you again for the support already on episode 3. I don't know how you guys haven't run us away, but keep the love pouring out there. Yeah, we're still here. Keep the love pouring. And guys, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. Get those petitions signed. We need to support British basketball, and we want the season. We know we want it. The fans want it. So let's get everyone to support, come together, and let's do our part. And until next time, the show.